leadership speaks roles of political management, management of economy, management of even people as well. And I think that is something that has to be aspired to in order to be successful.
Hello and welcome to Up Close and Personal Season 2, here at InvokED Studio, where we dive deep into the heart of leadership, collective action and education equity. I'm your host Aishwarya, and today we have with us Your Highness Yaduveer Krishnadatta Wadiyar, the Maharaja of Mysore and a proud custodian of Wadiyar legacy. He also serves as a Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha, contributing to national policy and governance. Sir is deeply involved in cultural preservation, public service and initiatives that celebrate India's historical legacy. Sir, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
You've been actively involved in cultural and social initiatives. What role do you see for traditional institutions like the Mysore royal family in contemporary India?
Obviously, coming off from the heritage that my family are custodians to within the framework of what the palace used to be before, and as custodians going forward in a democratic and a future of India, I think it's all the more paramount that those are preserved, because I think India is the one country where the original traditionals and its original culture has retained itself through the vicissitudes of time without any change. And going forward, if we are to conserve that, we have to reframe it within the modern framework, keep true to its original core principles, but at the same time celebrate it as part of the global community that India aspires to be today. So I think keeping ourselves rooted in that tradition will leave us the greatest basis for crafting the Bharat of the future.
That's fascinating, sir. So also I would like to understand your idea of leadership.
I think especially being given a leadership role at a much younger age, I think the idea you have to constantly sort of enforce in yourself is that you're not necessarily pulling from the front but pushing from the back, because you play a dual perspective where they are seasoned individuals who might not be in leadership positions but are much more experienced. There might be others around you who have faced many more obstacles, but at the same time, because of circumstance, you've been put as the leader. So taking them all along, I think as a young leader entails you stepping back, still acting as a leader and making the final decision, but understanding that you're taking everyone along and in many ways allowing them to be at the front and you are pushing them going forward. I think eventually when you have also accumulated that amount of experience and when to put your foot down, perhaps you should be pulling from the front as well. I think it's maintaining that balance. There are some spheres where I've had the good fortune of having that experience now with regards to the palace. There are some spheres like now in my new political career that I know there are more seasoned from party workers to local leaders to even around me, the people who have been in leadership roles before who are now playing smaller roles in the organization. So I might be the public representative at hand, but I think understanding that these are more seasoned individuals and that even though I'm the last point of making the decision, taking them along and pushing them along the way instead of not necessarily leading from the front or pulling them is the way to go forward in my own experience. I think that's what has allowed me to function rather effectively as a leader. And I think the element of following, I think, isn't being stressed enough. Everybody, of course, takes romanticizes the idea of leadership very much so, and with a good basis as well, which is required very much. But to be that leader of tomorrow, you have to learn to have been in line at one point in time, understand how to be part of that line with a leader in front. Eventually, when you take that place, you will understand the working of each cog in the system and be able to take it forward.
Thank you for sharing that, sir. You have some very interesting ideas about leadership. Sir, I'm very curious to know, is there a leader who has inspired you so much?
Well, certainly so. I mean, now there are dual roles that I play. One, of course, from the palace perspective, two, of course, as a politician as well. Purely from the perspective of my heritage and, of course, within Karnataka itself, I think the reign of Krishnadatta IV is often earmarked as the golden age of Mysore, and it was no doubt due to the leaders of the time, and certainly leading from the front, the Maharaja himself, I think, in many ways positioned himself as a cultural ambassador, but at the same time welcomed in that modern element which made the state so much a model for what was at that time British India. And despite many parts of the countries lagging behind economically, Mysore was often at the forefront in many economic spheres. And that was no doubt due to the leadership that was there with the Maharaja and his various divans, that they were able to percolate that identity further down to every rung of society and every rung of leadership. And I think that is a model for us going forward. Of course, in the modern India and politically going forward, I think there are many leaders who we should try our best to emulate. I think as far as prime ministers go, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, I think he managed that role very, very well. He's often quoted as saying, "A man with no enemies," and I think that's very much true. I think our current Prime Minister also has really benefited from what has been a strong leadership role of identifying India's culture, being at the forefront of that, and then at the same time bringing in the required modern facilities as well towards ensuring that India is aware of global trends and is at the forefront there as well. Other prime ministers, I think PV Narasimha Rao did a great act of balancing, even though it was his own government, the forces within, given the tumultuous time that was there, given the transition India did from what was a very closed economy to an open economy. I think such people, as a politician, I think are best to emulate, and their leadership speaks roles of political management, of management of economy, of management of even people as well. And I think that is something that has to be aspired to in order to be successful.
I couldn't agree more. The leaders that you mentioned have massive contributions in our country's development. So moving on, you are now a part of the system. How do you look at collaboration between non-profits and the system?
Well, I think they obviously play a very key role, because as much as we would like to think within the system we have all the answers, it's always great to have a consulting agency. It's always great to have an outside source that's able to look from a different perspective. And I think that's where NGOs play the best part. The second aspect where I think there's a key contribution is they reach further down to farther parts of the society, like the tribal communities, the forests, the rural areas. I think that outreach, understanding of local issues, because NGOs can be very diverse and they can be localized as well. Understanding local issues and understanding the necessity on the ground in a country in India where there are differences within each and every village, I think plays a key role in understanding how we can give a tailor-made solution given these differences across states, across districts, across villages. So I think NGOs play a very key role, and I think us joining hands will be what ensures that we are able to give effective solutions towards the issues we now face in the education sector.
That's very insightful. At ShikshaLokam also, we try to make sure that there are contextual solutions for the problems. Sir, you have been a part of a lot of leadership initiatives. How do you look at InvokED as a platform where all leaders come together and have important conversations?
Well, I've had the good fortune of being at the previous InvokED as well, and now this year I think it's grown even larger and doing wonderful work. The various NGOs that have joined hands and come to be a part of this towards discussion, towards showcasing their various works, and most importantly, this idea of collective action is, I think, very laudable. We need more of it, and the idea of coming together as one towards solving the issues, societal issues especially, is very laudable, because in every sphere there is competition, and competition is certainly good. But I think where it comes to making societal change, if everybody is on the same page, it is very much beneficial to reaching solutions much faster. As societal change, we need scaling up much faster. Businesses, for-profit ventures are often able to scale up very fast and solve the issues for, of course, the common pursuit of profit. But here, the common pursuit of social profit needs to be a unifying factor. And I think InvokED does a great job in harnessing that by bringing these people together, having these discussions, having these panels, having these various interactions. I think that communication and building of community is what allows us to understand about the societal profit that we're going to gain. And that coming together in that one forum here will, I'm sure, ensure that we are able to, as fast as possible, scale and solve the issues, because that is the end result of all NGOs, is to be relevant, meaning which we have solved a problem we started out. And I think if one NGO can show that, it has to be done and shown as a model going forward. And the aim and objective of all NGOs should be that one day we should close down with our objective done. And so I think towards that goal, coming together will, I'm sure, help towards that cause.
So we're very grateful for your continuous support. My last question to you, sir, is what is your one hope for the future of children?
Well, I mean, they are the future in countries such as India. I mean, much has been spoken, of course, is how young the population is and how much of an advantage that is, given that the workforce, pretty much of the global world, will be from India. I think these are all advantages, but again, youth is something that needs to be harnessed and needs to be given direction and needs to be given purpose. And I think, if anything, what we aspire for our country is to come back to being at the forefront of setting global trends, of contributing positively through our immense culture, our immense identity here, our immense ideals and principles that have percolated since time immemorial. I think that is a key contributor which can ensure that the modern principles we all aspire to, common law, plurality, understanding of each other's beliefs, etc., all have common ground in Indian value system. And I think if our future India is made stronger and these principles are given out for the world to follow, I think it will ensuring a better world. And I think India should position itself in doing so.
So we have some jars here. Can you please pick a chit and read out the question for our audience?
Sure. We'll try the offbeat and
Yes.
curious one. What's a fictional world you'd love to live in? Right off the top of my head, perhaps, I mean, I've always been a Lord of the Rings fan, so maybe that would be, I think, what you say, Middle Earth would be a nice fictional world to live in.
That's very interesting, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a beautiful thought, sir. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. Stay connected, keep the dialogue going. See you in the next episode of Up Close and Personal Season 2.